Nah, man, I appreciate you taking the time to share that history, man, because you got my mind, racing. I gotta, what I'm saying, go back and do my research because you named a lot of giants, man. Dougie Fresh, come on now. Heavy D,
Yeah.
rest in peace, man.
Yes. Yes. Though I mean, those guys were. I mean, they were big, really, really big influences. I mean, Have came out and did it like nobody else, man. You know, from the overweight lover, it's just like you gotta love him. From that, and then I always called him Dwight. Because he would always come to the studio, Steven. And so I started calling him Dwight. And so my man Dwight, like he would just having that's the blessing of of opportunity that I think I've been given is that I could actually sit down and talk to people. Not on a superstar, oh, you're a superstar to me and everything, but I got a chance to tell like a lot of people, thank you for the influence and got to know a lot of real good people. And Hev was Dwight was one, and I'm still waiting for his call, man. I used to get those calls, man. He would just call me. I hope he go, nigga, and that was my dude. I just knew that was him calling me, and it didn't matter. I don't care what I was doing. I just pick up the phone and just sit there. I'm still waiting for that call. And those are some of the cherished moments I got to have because of hip hop.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I appreciate you sharing that. Man, I could just ask you now, when did you really, really get your first big break? When did you really get into the game and start working with artists?
Um, well, all that time was going by. After the breakdance and stuff, I just stopped DJing. Well, I'm not gonna say I stopped DJing. Um, I really start my music production side. So I started making beats because that's all I could do. I couldn't play anything, couldn't play the keyboards, nothing. So I started making beats, and once samplers came out, or we could afford the samplers, I started sampling and learning how to manipulate stuff, which made me still attract or try to be, or I tried to attract all of the keyboard players that I knew around me. There was a guy named Miles Simmons. He plays in sorry Miles, I can't think of the band that he plays in DC. And a dude named Herb White. Sorry, Herb, can't think of the band. He plays in DC. But I always tried to attract keyboard players because they could play better than me. I couldn't play. My god brother James Davis, same thing. He played keys. I couldn't play. So he had a top 40 band and or R&B group. I would try to make beats for his group. I just tried to make beats for everybody. I just started programming R&B, pop, rock. Ended up working at a gospel record label, reprogramming terrible drummers tracks. Everybody thought it was a drummer, but no, it was me reprogramming it to sound like a real drummer. So and I put out 3 albums with this. It was Anointed Records. We did like 3 different albums where I had to recreate the drums, and nobody could. Even the drummer was like, "Yeah, man, I really sound good. The way you mixed, I'm like, that ain't you, bro." But so and I would do gospel in the daytime, and me and my boy Steve Jones, who actually ended up being Stevie Wonder's right hand man, he would come to the studio and we would just produce for anybody. And somebody had this group from New York. I can't remember where, oh, they were called the East Medina MCs. Don't ask me. Never heard from them again. They came down and we produced this track for them that I still hear in my head today. That was almost like one of the first real hip hop tracks I ever produced for a hip hop group. And that boom, there it is. You know what I mean? Like we were both me and Steve were both Hank Shockley fans. What's up, Uncle Hank? Still call him Unc to this day. Um, in the Bomb Squad. So all our style was Bomb Squad style. So just taking bits and pieces of everything from everywhere. S950 sampler, MPC. I don't even think did we have a 3000 then? We didn't even have a 3000. I had an R8 drum machine, or I didn't have R8. I forgot what I had, but anyway, we just take those things and we just made records, man, and we just made beat after beat after beat after beat. Didn't go nowhere. Most of the time we did it for free, just gave them away, just so people could have them. Um, so one in my quest for finding better people or people who could do things that I couldn't, as far as playing keyboards, I met, my partner and still one of my best friends to this day. This was 1991, I believe, maybe 19, yeah, it had to be 1991. Um, and we just happened to meet at a talent show. We bumped into each other, and he was with another friend. And one day they actually came over near my house, and we sat out there talking. His name is Marlon Wiggins, and he ended up working with Jam Master Jay doing the whole jail felony thing, and he did his thing, and they did their thing. I came north, he went south, but long story. So we ended up getting together. Then that got me back into really DJing. So I was the DJ, he was the rapper. His artist name was Gangsta Host. We did a couple records. I think the biggest thing we did was called 40 Ounce. It played a lot out in Oakland because it was one of them songs, just one of them drinking songs. So it was me, Marlon, and this other guy named Herb. We had Ever Funky Productions. So that's what we were. No, we were 13th Parallel. I can't remember, but I think we were 13th Parallel at first, and then we went to Ever Funky Productions. And we did records for well, DJ Flex came to us out of DC, and we did a song called The Water Dance. Well, we went to this club called the Quonset. I don't know if you don't know about Quonset, was like a little look like a little hangar. There's a little hole in the wall, right across the street from Crystal Skate on Branch Avenue. And Flex was, he was on the radio and he did a club night, at the Quonset and a couple other places, I guess. And we were there. On the Quonset, you got to climb up on the bar to get to the DJ booth. So it's really over the bar. So one day, me and Marlon, we were up there, and he did this thing called "Get in the Water," and we was like, "What the heck?" And you saw the whole crowd just doing the water dance. It was just like mesmerizing, and we like, "Oh man, like this is cranking." So, in our infinite wisdom, we brought all our recording studio stuff to the club and tried to record it. It sounded like garbage. Like when we tried to record it, because I really wasn't good at it at the point. I went to school for it, but really practicing and trying to get it right. Didn't have a microphone set up, too much outside noise, too many reflections. It was just noisy and nasty. But it created all the elements for the record, The Water Dance. At that time, I know I skipped probably a whole lot of stuff, but at that time I was preparing to move to New York because I wanted to go back to school to learn, to really get into audio engineering and really learn it, to craft the trade, because I really felt strongly about doing it. Um, and why I became an engineer is a whole nother story. But um, Marlon, I was going back and forth to New York trying to find a place to live. So Marlon was just sitting in the basement and he put, like, we had a studio. I lived on 33rd and no, not 30. I lived on 501 Trenton Street. He lived on Xenia Street down the hill from Ballou. I lived right across from Ballou High School in Southeast. And we had a studio in there. And he just started sampling. He took the original beat that we used, played it, and started sampling the elements from the actual club and made a record. Then had Flex come back in and do all his lyrics all over again. And he played it for me. Two records in my life that as soon as I heard it, I said, this is a hit. First one was The Water Dance. As soon as I heard it, like, this is a hit. This shit is gonna blow. I don't care what nobody say, it's gonna blow. And people tried to front on it, but it blew up. One of the biggest selling records out of DC, I think, till this day. Still, I'm not sure about the sales, but I'm just saying it was a big record. Second one was uh, All About the Benjamins. Two records I've ever heard in my life. As soon as I heard it, boom. There's no, you can't tell me nothing about this record. that it's gonna flop. You know, I've been wrong about a whole lot of stuff. Them two never been. I wasn't wrong about. But anyway, we he did that record, and I was in that transition of moving. And when I heard it, we took it out to every club. Like we went and had it pressed that same night. We go to clubs delivering it to all the clubs. The radio wouldn't play it. PGC wouldn't play it. I don't even think, yeah, Flex wasn't on PGC at the time. I think the Water Dance got him on PGC. So we took it to PGC, they wouldn't play it. We took it to KYS, they wouldn't play it. Took it to HUR, they wouldn't play it. We played it at UDC, wouldn't play it. Nobody would play our record. So we just said, forget it. We're gonna go to the club. So we went to the clubs, all the clubs. We said, boom, here, play this record. Every DJ, because we knew the DJs. DJs would say, no, I can't really play it, can't work it in. A couple people fronted. Everybody, I think we took it to 5 clubs the first night, 4 clubs played it. The next record, they said, okay, they played the next record. Hit. One club, the dude literally, and this was, I think, at the Classics up by Andrews Air Force Base. Can't remember who it was. He stopped the record he was playing, like, like ripped the record off the needle and said, y'all gotta hear this shit. He played that joint, and I just remember the whole crowd just going crazy when the beat dropped. The record didn't sound great, like mix wise. A lot about it was wrong, but the vibe was 100% vibe, and it was 100% right. And it's still one of the biggest records I think that ever came out of DC.